What is going on, Raider Nation? It's your boy Sanjit back at it with another video. We have some unfortunate news that's coming out here. The Las Vegas Raiders defensive tackle Christian Wilkins is not participating at OTAs. He is at OTAs. He warmed up with the Las Vegas Raiders. He warmed up, did all the good things that you want to do during the warm-ups, but when the team broke for the actual positional drills, this guy was not participating. He was standing off to the side. He was obviously helping, coaching, kind of being the leader that he is, but he was not participating. And to me, this is absolutely unfortunate news. Not the end of the season, right? Not the end of the world, generally speaking. He could still obviously bounce back and potentially be back when like training camp starts. He might even be back in like 4 weeks from now. Who knows? But I do think that it is kind of unfortunate given the fact that we've heard multiple reports at this point, right? Tony Pelini, probably like 2 months ago at this point, put a report out saying that Christian Wilkins may actually need another surgery, right? His foot may not have properly healed. He might need another surgery. After the draft, he doubled down on that report, right? He said that even though the Raiders didn't necessarily go defensive tackle early on in the draft, it's still possible that the Raiders defensive tackle need surgery, right? It's still possible that Christian Wilkins might need surgery at some point. And we also got, some pushback from some of the reporters, right? There was a couple of Raiders reporters that covered the team in person. Some of these guys were actually saying that, hey, Christian Wilkins has had a walking boot on. He's been at practice a little bit, right? Like rookie mini camp. He's been in the building a little bit from that point. They even have seen him in a walking boot, but that's also kind of come off. So some people are like, maybe he's just kind of healing and maybe he's working out, hurts a little bit. He's trying to let it heal and just kind of going back and forth to get that foot right. And who knows, right? Maybe come, July 15th when training camp comes around, he'll be fully healthy. Best case scenario, he's good to go. But the fact that he is not healthy today is still a concern to me, right? Because of the fact that this guy last played against the Denver Broncos. That was on October 6th. And this guy had surgery literally to fix that Jones fracture in his foot on October 8, 2024. So that was 2 days after that Denver Broncos game. This guy essentially had surgery on his foot. And it's basically been 225 days since he's had that surgery. Some guys tear their ACLs and are back, playing within 225 days, right? That's 7 months. That's a long time from the time this guy had his surgery to be fully healthy and ready to go. But the fact that he's still not fully healthy to me means that there is still some sort of hiccup with that foot. And again, it's really, really, really unfortunate because I truly believe that Christian Wilkins is arguably the best player on this roster. Not on defense, not D tackle or D line. Overall roster, there's a you can make the argument he is the best player for the Raiders. And I say you can make an argument, I'd still probably put Maxx Crosby ahead of him. I'd probably still put Jackson Powers-Johnson ahead of him and even Brock Bowers. But you can make the argument nonetheless, right? So Christian Wilkins to me is that type of player, right? He's a superstar player. He's an elite run defender. He's a very, very, very solid pass rusher as well. He has a couple of really nice pass rush moves. To me, Christian Wilkins is the difference maker out there for the Raiders. He's a leader of this roster. And the fact that he's not able to play right now because of the fact that he's most likely not 100% healthy is just unfortunate. And I do hope that, the foot just naturally heals and at some point, maybe come July, he's good to go and it just doesn't bother him again. But the fact that it has been as long as it has been is just unfortunate news. And I'll also just kind of say this, this year, the Raiders are going to rely heavily on that defensive line, right? If you guys take a step back and think about what the Raiders had over the last 3 years in the second and third levels of the defense. We had Robert Spillane, we had Divine Diablo, we had a couple other guys. These guys were mostly playing together for multiple years. In the secondary, Trayvon Merrick, Nate Hobbs played together for multiple years. You can look at some of the other guys we've had, right? Some of the corners, right? Guys had multiple years together to kind of know how to play with one another, right? They had multiple years in the scheme and system. That's not the case this year, right? Every single one of the Raiders linebackers that's going to start this year is basically a brand new linebacker, even in the secondary, right? It's not all new guys in the secondary necessarily, right? But chances are 2 of the 4 starters will be new, and that's assuming Isaiah Paul-Mount even ends up starting. There's a chance he doesn't start, right? There's a chance he ends up not getting that starting position. And it's just, it's one of those things where the Raiders in the second and third level are going to be a lot different this year. They don't have that, they don't have that knowledge with one another. So we need that defensive line to kind of carry us. And the fact that our, second best defensive lineman is hurt, he might not play, does kind of suck. Not having Christian Wilkins out there, I think that was really, really impact this defensive line. Obviously, we're still going to be a really good defensive line no matter what. When you have Malcolm Koonce, you have Maxx Crosby, you have Adam Butler. Those three guys are all really, really good in them, in themselves. But putting Christian Wilkins there just kind of adds a whole nother element. Now, again, we're still so far away, so I don't even really want to think about actual regular season games and kind of when that comes around without having Christian Wilkins. But let's just say the worst case scenario does end up being true, right? Let's just say Christian Wilkins in a week decides, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get that surgery. What would that timeline kind of be? Because I think at this point, if he had that surgery, he could probably still be healthy come, week 1 of the actual NFL regular season, right? You'd have essentially 3 months at that point to get right. But, the Raiders have other defensive linemen as well that I kind of want to see step up. Hopefully some of these guys can. Jonah Lalulu really showed some potential this past season. You drafted 2 young defensive tackles as well, JJ and Tonka Hemingway. Hemingway's going to be the 4th round pick, so he'll probably be, probably have a little bit more playing time, right? At least early on, as long as he can prove himself. And we'll see what some of the other guys can do as well, right? Laki Tassi, we talked about him yesterday, the international pathway player, looked absolutely massive in some of those clips that were coming out, or some of the images. Hopefully he can play as well. Maybe not this season, but hopefully he can develop into a good football player. Either way, Christian Wilkins is not out there actually running the drills. And I do hope someone asks Pete Carroll about it, what the timeline kind of looks like. Also, is it possible he might need another surgery, right? I hope one of our reporters asks Pete Carroll about it. Pete Carroll's actually going to have a presser here probably within the hour at some point. I do hope they ask Christian Wilkins about it because I do think the Raiders need this guy healthy. We have a couple more days of OTAs left still. It'll probably run us like over the next 2 weeks. We'll have multiple days of practice. We'll have multiple days where media is actually allowed in the building as well. Hopefully Christian Wilkins is caught actually out there on the football field at some point. Best case scenario is he's just trying to get the foot right? Maybe day 1, this guy ends up, getting out there playing, and then day 2, 3, 4, 5, he kind of takes off, right? And that's just part of the process. And that would make sense because we're so early on in the process. Also, just to kind of throw this out there, Christian Wilkins actually did not participate on day 1 either, right? So if you guys don't know this, OTAs day 1 was on Monday. They had Tuesday off, which was yesterday. And then today is day 2. So Christian Wilkins did not participate in either of those 2 days. That's according to Sean Reed of The Athletic, right? He's putting it out there that Christian Wilkins, according to his source, did not participate on day 1 either, right? So although there's a chance, he'll practice on one day, take a couple days off to heal and kind of rest. That was not the case, at least with what we're seeing. And again, maybe he had some sort of crazy workout on Thursday or Friday, and then he just needs, like a week or whatever it is, right? But I think it is important to also note that he did not participate on day 1 either. So we'll see what ends up happening. I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think this is a big deal? Does this matter? Are you guys worried at all that Christian Wilkins may actually miss some time down the line? I'm not too worried about it right now, right? But we will be obviously keeping an eye on this because we do need this guy back. And we need him back 100% healthy, right? Not at 80%, not paying after he plays 2 weeks. We need him 100% healthy. So we'll see what ends up happening. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.